agree with you there. Um, so, next question: what do you see the effects on migration being, if there will be any? Now that the
I I hope it doesn't have any effect on immigration. I hope that's one of the things that the Brexit camp and those who are going to be taking over government don't follow through on. They've already started to backpedal on the £350 million a week that they're going to put to the NHS, and it's going to do all this stuff. That's our National Health Service, public health system here, which has been underfunded. So Brexiteers have been going, look, all this money we send to the EU, we can spend it on hospitals and picking out the really popular public services that they can then go and fund them. And they've already started backpedaling and go, oh, well, no, we can't actually do that because it's going to be this and this is going to be all the crap. So backpedaling on that, I'm hoping they backpedal on blocking immigration. I can't see they're going to do it. The whole world has been moving more towards freedom of people. And I'm all for freedom of movement of people. It's one planet with one species. The thought of going, oh, you can't come into our little bit. It's pathetic. So we've got to allow that. It's the free movement of goods that needs to be looked at. I used to cheer for free movement of goods, completely tariff free. And then I realised the consequences of that. From all these trade deals you have NAFTA, you've got TPP at the moment, we've got TTIP, which is just our version of it. You guys are working on two massive trade deals at the moment. And that did actually also push me towards the leave. Obama came over and said, if you leave, then you will not be priority for TTIP. And I'm like, it's fucking great. I'm against TTIP. Why is that a good thing? Anyone that's heard of this, or not heard of it because you're keeping it so secret they're not allowed to hear about it, why am I going to cheer for that? That's surely going to turn some people off.
yeah.
So I'm sure some of that would have triggered for some people. So I hope they don't go and stop immigration. Most of the immigration, or a lot of the immigration, is from outside Europe anyway. So how's leaving the EU supposed to stop that? That just means we change our immigration policy.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the EU. Well, actually it does. It's part of the terms of the EU. But it wasn't part of allowing non-EU citizens to come into Britain. That was by ourselves, we chose to allow that. So it just, some of those annoying talking points that just, it's used to brush off any other deeper investigation into the actual causes of job losses, which I think is a lot more about the technological unemployment than there is anything else. And it's something that never gets talked about. Never ever hear about it in the mainstream press. Mind you, I don't watch the mainstream press, so I never would. I'm a bit ignorant on that front. Happily.
I was gonna say I know from what I read, again, brief reading. I was looking at, like, I don't know, a bunch of different articles. It was basically saying that part of the argument for when they talked about migration, when they were talking about leaving the EU, they were talking about wanting to rework their own, migration policies, as well as not be, controlled by the EU in the sense of what they could and couldn't do when it comes to migration or immigration. And one of the problems is that with France, they had this treaty where France essentially guarded the border or whatever, checked, who was going in to the UK.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called. It was called like the treaty. I can find it real quick. Yeah. Let's see. Signed between France and UK an agreement that provided for immigration checkpoints to be set up by France in Eurostar stations in the UK and for immigration checkpoints to be set up by UK and Eurostar stations in France.
The Ticket Agreement?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I just found it. Thank you, Google. Signed in 2003, effectively put the border with Britain effectively put the British border on French soil. I'm sure there are terms in the agreement. If this isn't covered, to renegotiate the deal. I can see why they put it on the French border. That makes logistical sense. We have to take care of it. If we're going to shut off from the immigration in such a way that France is like, screw you, we have to rework it. There's going to be several things that we're going to have to work on. Again, it's the annoying thing that these things weren't brought up clearly and explained by either camp. Neither campaign has gone through these details. I've been wondering how it affects membership of the ECC and the Troika, and there's so many things that we've signed up to since joining the EU, and therefore we've signed as a signatory of the EU. What's affected, what's not, what can just be re-signed again, the same terms, it's fine. Who knows? We don't get this information. We're not allowed to know this information. And even if they did put it out, no one's going to believe them because they're politicians and they're lies. So what they say and what's actually the truth, they can be a little bit far apart. Yeah. They're politicians, so the same world round.